Our next presenter is Tanya Giles. Giles, please come forward. Welcome, Ms. Giles. Yeah, please be seated. You've seen the drill. You have 5 minutes opening address and then by questions by rotation each party. Please begin now.
I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation on Bill 132. My name is Tanya Giles. I'm a wife, a mother, a ratepayer, and a senior administrator of the Facebook page Take Back Your Power Ontario. We have a very active page that is currently building a coalition of hydro Facebook pages across the province that collectively have a reach of over 1.5 million people a week. That said, I know what I share with you today is reflective of millions of Ontarians across the province. Ontario is a province in crisis. The last 14 years of Liberal government have brought us the Clean Energy Act, costing us billions in green energy contracts, smart meters that do not work, a faulty accounting system, and a multi-million-dollar salaries for Hydro One executives where families are pinching pennies to pay their hydro bills. However, the most disturbing of all was the sale of Hydro One, a Crown corporation strategically designed to take profits and reinvest into our schools, hospitals, and roads. The Ontario Liberals, behind the backs of the PCs and the NDP, put a plan in place and rushed the mandate through. And even though 83% of Ontarians are against the sale of our Crown Corporation, the sale of shares continued. What deeply concerns me and millions of Ontarians is the way Bill 132 is being rushed through the legislature. History has clearly demonstrated that Liberal energy file mandates that become legislation have not ended well for Ontarians. The role of the official opposition and the third party is to evaluate the legislation put forward and act on behalf of the people, to review and make suggestions. When they have no material to advise on, and when leaked documents provide pause as to long-term costs, with the Liberals admitting they have yet to evaluate those numbers, the question becomes, why the rush? The Liberals have put forward a plan that Ontarians don't know much about. We believe the carrots of promise of discounts on our bills over the short term come at a very high price, the future of our province. The leaked documents serve to prove that to us that the Liberals either know the hydro costs will skyrocket and this is a reprieve, this temporary reprieve is an election tactic, or are grossly incompetent in their planning. We have heard the excuse as to the document in question not being reliable, but when asked for specific information, the opposition and third party are attacked and the Liberals take an offensive position instead of engaging in a collaborative dialogue. How can we, as Ontarians, put our faith in a bill when the information put forward is wrapped up in rhetoric and political propaganda? We feel the Liberals are underestimating the intelligence of Ontarians, and we are not interested in the vanity ads. We need to see the plan's analysis and tangible evidence. We need to see a plan that breaks down the costs both in the long and the short term. The NDP put forward a plan and the Liberals dismissed it and then pointed to the Progressive Conservatives as not having a plan. Do you want to hear what the people of Ontario thought of that? By and large, the people of this province believe that it is not the responsibility of the NDP or the PCs to come up with a plan to fix this energy crisis. That job lies squarely at the feet of the party who put us in this mess. The time for finger-pointing and historical rhetoric is over. The leaked document holds some validity in that it has proven that the Liberals do not know the long-term ramifications of this plan. From our vantage point, I can share that the people have no faith in this plan. Moreover, it's appalling that once again the Liberals with their majority government are going to abuse that power and push this bill through. That in of itself is not lost on the voting public. We are asking with all due respect that this bill be taken off the table and that all parties are given the opportunity to review and build on this document. The issues here are far too important. I have traveled 6 hours today to speak to you for 5 minutes. I fear for my community of Manitoulin Island, where we have a system that needs upgrades and suffers from frequent outages, where delivery fees are unmanageable and we see no benefit from the cost, where families are up for disconnection and businesses are closing their doors. The Clean Energy Act has failed us. I implore a realistic approach be taken in tackling the root problems we are facing with the energy sector. The Fair Hydro Plan is not a solution, and everyone knows this. If you are voting in favor of this plan for the benefit of your party and not for the people of Ontario, you are here for the wrong reasons. I hope in closing that I have made clear that myself and millions of people on our Facebook page Coalition Reaches are not in favor of the Fair Hydro Plan, and we do not see it as a solution to the problem. It's a bill we cannot afford. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Giles. To the NDP to lead off, Mr. Gates.
Peter.
Mr. Chavins.
Thank you very much, Chair. Ms. Giles, thank you very much for taking the time to come here today. Appreciate your efforts. Can you tell us again why people don't have faith in this hydro plan that's been put forward by the Liberals?
I think because it's being rushed through, like many other things have been rushed through. The long term, we see a 4-year reprieve, and then after 4 years, the rates will increase and we'll be paying more than we ever have. my children and my grandchildren don't deserve that.
No, fair enough. You mentioned frequent outages on Manitoulin Island. I know constantly when I hear from the government, they say that rates have to go up so that we have reliable power. Is it reliable in your area?
In the month of April alone, we had 6 power outages, 3 of which were scheduled. 2 of those scheduled outages, we didn't get our power back when they said we were going to have it back. We were 2 to 3 hours late getting it back on. The other 3 times were not planned. And that's not just a little flicker, that's the power off for hours on end, yeah.
And this is fairly common in your area?
Yes, yeah.
My goodness, all right.
When it gets windy, we prepare water because the power's probably going to go out.
All right. You mentioned the government rushing this legislation through this legislature, and certainly it's a concern that we have. Do you or anyone that you've talked to have a sense of what the numbers would show if they were dug into? What is your worry about the lack of information on this?
Yeah, that it's not getting enough time. There should be more information come forward that we as Ontarians can go by to make a judgment, as opposed to one leaked document that we're being told is not accurate. So how can we have a plan on one inaccurate document?
Yeah. Mr. Gates?
I just got to ask you a question because I was really, you drove 6 hours to come here today.
I did, yes.
For a 5-minute presentation.
Yes.
Do you think that's fair and
No.
reasonable on behalf of the residents of your community? And do you think it would be fair and reasonable to ask the government that we hold a town hall meeting in your community so all the residents of your community can listen to this plan?
I agree. I do agree. I think many northern communities would benefit from that as well. I think they should all have the right to have a say.
And so do I. And I mean, it's a long drive for 5 minutes, and I don't think it's fair or reasonable that you're being asked to do that.
I'm happy that I got the opportunity today, though.
Yeah.
I am.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. You have 20 seconds if you like it.
You're opposed to the Hydro One sell-off because?
Because it's ours. Because we're being told that this is like a mortgage, right? This plan, we're extending it, and we're going to be paying a mortgage on something we don't own. So why should I have to pay for something I don't have?
Thank you, Mr. Chavins. Mr. Gates, to the government side. Mr. Delaney.
Well, thank you very much for your thoughts. What is the reason for the outages that you referred to?
We don't know. I don't know. If the wind picks up or we get a little bit of rain, the chances of the power going out are very good.
Do you think it's important at this time to reduce Ontarians' electricity bills?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I know in my community.
Did you
people
submit
are.
a written brief along with your oral presentation?
No, I did not.
Did you, I appreciate your taking the time to drive in. Did you consider making your brief by teleconference to save yourself the trip?
I did, but I was encouraged to come here in person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who encouraged you?
My MPP.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Those are our questions.
Thank you, Mr. Delaney. To the PC side, Mr.
Walker.
Walker.
Thank you very much. I'm just across the pond from you, the
Yes.
other end of the Chichiman.
Yes.
Credit to you to drive 6 hours, and frankly, I think it's important that people see you face to face, not just teleconference. So thank you for making that effort. As a northern resident, can you give me kind of an idea about how much your average delivery charges are every month?
The delivery charges can be upwards of 100% of what your bill is. People have paid up like 150% of their bill is delivery charges.
Absolutely.
They're ridiculous.
Many of mine are the same, and
Yep.
certainly in extreme northern Ontario even more. In the petition that you created, you state that you want to see no further billing to rural customers for line loss charges. How would you prefer to see them accounted for?
I'm not too sure how that would be done, honestly.
Right. But it's a concern you have, and obviously an area that you feel needs to be addressed.
It is
as
because
part of the solution.
we have windmills right in our backyard. We have a hydro generation station, and all that power is generated on Manitoulin Island. It's shipped away, and we have to pay to bring it back.
Right.
So I feel we're defeating the purpose in a sense.
In your opinion, have you seen any improvement in customer service at Hydro One over the last year?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I have. When I call Hydro One every month. It's a given, and I've noticed, yes, they're easier to get along with now, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of complaints over the last 4 or 5 years. And you were calling them every month?
I still call them every month.
With what kind of complaints?
So many, I don't even know where to begin. I call on behalf of myself, I call on behalf of other people. For an example, the last time I called them, I had a woman come to me with her bills, and she received 8 bills on one day from Hydro One. One for $1,000, one for a credit of $500, one for another for $1,400, and she just had no idea what she was supposed to do. So our group, Take Back Your Power Ontario, helped her. We also spoke with Hydro One to help her figure out the problem.
In one article, you said that you'd called the OEB to report a problem with your smart meters locally. What was the response you got from the OEB?
That it can be sent to Meters Canada, and that's about it.
No
Nothing.
solution to rectify the problem?
None. I asked them to replace it. I was told no, they have no problem on their end, so.
And was it a problem reading the with the Wi-Fi, or was it with the internet, or was
My concern was it was reading extremely high. There was no reason for my bills to be as high as they were.
And how high were they? Sorry.
I was paying $750 to $900 a month for a 1,000 square foot home.
Yeah, it's amazing. I represent a northern riding too, or at least part of my riding is in the north, and there were a lot of issues, particularly in the North Hastings area and the Bancroft area with the faulty smart meters where people weren't getting readings, and it's a big issue.
Yes, that's the next step with the lady we were just helping, was to try and see if the smart meter is a problem in her billing.
Thanks for coming today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. To the NDP, Mr. Gates. Mr.
We've already asked.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You want us to go again?
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you. We were so inspired to hear more of you, Ms. Giles. Thank you, Ms. Giles.